righty. We're ready. Let's do a little driving. A little bit of going from here to a little bit of going to there. Tug test first, though. Tuggy, tuggy, back. Tuggy, tuggy, forward. Yay. Give the steering wheel a little rub. Woohoo! Rub and tug. I don't like this balance. I'm going to have to change it. Get down here next to this fella. It will change our balance. I don't like it. Don't like it. We're heavy in the ass end. We need to be balanced. Hawk Tua for you, RO. Hey, Grinch. Away we go. I won't hit you, Mr. Ford. No need to be paranoid. Ah, naughty, naughty. That guy drove a red light. He ran the red light in his bobtail. He's a bad man. Feeling dangerous. He doesn't care because he's bobtail. Bobtail. Hey, Rusty. We're on the road again. Me and Sam will be dropping a load again. I can feel the one from last night's gonna be a burning one. I can't wait to drop a load again. Woohoo! That's a fancy truck. He's got a matching red trailer. It's special. Hey, Moki, welcome back. Hello.
Hey,
What's up?
can you hear me all? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's
Okay.
on your mind today?
Hey, well, I know there's some other conversations I want to have with you offline about some ideas I have, but you
Oh, this is
mentioned,
Forge. Okay, cool.
yeah, you mentioned um, that you have an ultralight or you had one, and you're thinking about
Yes.
building another one.
Yeah, I used to have a legal eagle. If you if you know what that is, it's a design of ultralight.
Yeah, I'm not up to speed on any of the legalities of any of it, but I had some ideas and I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you a
Well, that's
question
just the
or
name.
two.
That's just the name of the plane.
Oh,
The name of the design is the legal eagle.
legal eagle.
Yeah.
But um, excuse, yeah, excuse. You'll have to excuse me. I've been sick for a while. But
Yeah.
anyways, the have you done anything with like helium bladders and kind of neutral buoyancy and things like that? Do you have any background in that?
I have never built anything with that, but I have looked into it because I find it fascinating. A lot
As
of
do
the
I.
lifting bodies these days are
Oh man, you're you're saying I apologize if I can't keep up without coughing. I'll jump off. But
no worries.
um, Um, but yeah, lifting bodies, flying wing, um, a rigid frame, but helium bladders and neutrally buoyant. I mean, these are all words that make sense to me, but I'm not an engineer, so I may be talking out my rear end on all of it.
Well,
Um,
they're all concepts that anybody can understand. It's just you don't have to be an engineer to know that a balloon works because it doesn't. The air inside of it doesn't weigh as much and is less dense than the air outside. Right?
right, right, yeah. Well, the thought that I had was much in the same way that like the stealth aircraft that they build, where they
Mm-hmm.
have their intakes and their exhaust and their motors are on top, and they deflect the sound skyward as opposed to groundward.
Right.
Um, I had the idea that a like a light carbon fiber frame that was built like a flying wing or lifting body, whatever you want to call it, um, and was essentially uh, neutral buoyancy when loaded with with some kind of motor and what fuel or batteries or whatever you would use. Where the only real weight you'd have to deal with would be the weight of your passenger. Um, that you could build something that could be very very quiet and fly low and almost land and take off on a dime. And
Right.
I just the thing that I don't know is, and mostly because I haven't done any research on it, is how big would something like that have to be
Well,
in order
that
to
just
lift itself?
that just depends on its weight, doesn't it?
Yeah,
What is its non-void weight? Then you have to, you know,
yeah,
match. You have to match that to, how much is it going to weigh when it's buoyant, and then
hmm
you have to think, wow, if this body configuration, could I build just a wing without the added complexity of buoyancy and
hmm
do almost the same thing?
right,
So
right,
it's a question people have been playing with a lot, and there are several designs out there. Some rigid, some not rigid, some semi-rigid,
hmm
and it's definitely a area that people are looking into. I had a thought exercise that I was doing with another engineer when I was overseas, and we were instead of using helium, we were using hydrogen, and the thing was going to be solar powered and make its own hydrogen.
hmm
And we were thinking about transporting like shipping containers with it, and the
oh
fucking
yeah,
thing turned out to be huge.
I bet, yeah,
And
yeah. Well,
it
that's a
was,
you know
you know,
in in my mind, I was thinking that obviously you wouldn't want the wingspan any wider than say a country road, because the idea is you want to be able to take off and land anywhere. And I just didn't know if that would be enough, displacement with the weight of, or the lifting power of the helium. Um, if
but
that was, it would end up being something that was really rather large.
well, it really just depends on how you build it. How fast you want to go. If you're going to go for the stealth angle on this thing,
Well,
why?
just something that's quiet, that like if you wanted to fly somewhere at night, no one would ever see you or hear you, kind of thing.
Oh well, then you're out of the legal
Yeah,
ultralight
it's true.
airplanes because they're not allowed to fly after sundown.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just say dusk then. Um, but so the one of the ideas that occurred to me when you were talking about your ultralight, you called it the legal eagle,
Yeah.
um, was, can you envision an apparatus, obviously knowing that birds can change the angle of their airfoil, you know, in multiple configurations to either gain speed or dive or to create a lot of drag or lift or whatever it is. Um, can you imagine an apparatus that might be somewhat passive, that if you the faster you went, the wings maybe were kind of a resistance, like a spring loaded, um, for lack of a better way to put it, where they would want to sweep somewhat if you went a little faster. Like they might angle backwards, with just the force of travel. Is that nonsense I'm talking, or is that something you
No,
could
no, no,
envision?
no, no. It's not nonsense at all. In fact, NASA built an X plane that did exactly that. It's already been done back in the 1960s.
And it was like a passive system. It just reacted to the actual speed of the aircraft.
Well, they had it tied in with the airspeed indicator,
Hmm.
and uh, it that experiment uh, led to like the Aardvark, the F-111, and the F-14, and the
Okay.
B-1B bomber.
Yeah.
So that that idea is definitely a viable idea. Um,
I'm
in
just thinking
fact,
about
it works, but it's even obsolete now.
yeah. Well, I was just thinking in terms of the weight. I would want something that weighed as little as possible, but allowed the wings to flex at
Yeah,
that angle, as there was, maybe the force of the air in
right.
front of it pushing on
Very,
that leading edge.
variable geometry wings are heavy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, but
because that's their actual name. If you want to Google it
yeah.
and research it, variable geometry wings, or
Well,
wings
I
that,
spend a lot of time looking at them.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
or the process of reconfiguring your wings without changing them too much is called wing warping.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that was actually used by Orville and Wilbur Wright on the Wright Flyer.
right,
They had wing warping.
right,
They
right,
didn't. They didn't have ailerons or elevators or anything like
right. Well, when you had mentioned carbon fiber frame and mylar skin and some other things, it just the connection between what I was thinking was, wow, you know, um, I've spent my fair share of time, as I live near Dayton, at the Air Force Museum. So I've seen a lot of those various craft, the
that. Oh,
experimental ones and all the rest of
and
that.
I'm envious. That's a great museum. I've only
It
visited it
it really
once.
is. It what's surprising about it is, as I've gotten older, I've decided to go more frequently, and they are changing their displays all the time. It's like every time I go, something has been changed up and is different.
Cool.
Um, yeah, so if you've been to it, if you decide to go back again, you'll see something different definitely every time. But they um have their share of the swept wing and all the different kinds of things there that they show. um, all the different technologies. Even one of my favorites, the XB-70. I remember that as a kid, sitting outside the museum when it was on the other side of the base.
Yeah.
It just next to the building. It was too big to go in the building. But yeah, if you get a chance to go again, I would recommend it, and especially, I mean, given your background. But um, but anyways, that was those were thoughts that I was having, and to be honest, it was just the idea that if things got so bad that your daytime movement couldn't happen, that was what I had originally, the conspiratorial notions was originally the fuel for the imagination to think, well, how could you go about creating something where you could get from point A to point B with little to no notice, and so that immediately, I started thinking in those terms, something that was light, very quiet, and didn't have to travel fast, but certainly, you know, uh, being able to put it down almost on top of itself, just have it settle down, as opposed to needing a long stretch of road or runway to land on. Those were all the
Right.
factors that I was mulling in my head, but I come out of the
Oh,
world of
and welcome to Kansas, motherfuckers.
which way are you headed?
West.
West. But
Hence the
anyways,
name of the stream. Now,
oh,
one thing that I've played around with but have never gotten really serious about it is what if you just built a wing? It's just only the wing.
yeah.
You made it low aspect ratio, and the you change the angle of the thrust so that on takeoff and landing, it's presenting the lowest aspect ratio of the wing possible, so that you can take off and land easy. But if you want to go faster, you pivot it to the left or to the right so that the wing cuts through the air at an angle. It's the same thing as a variable geometry effect, and you reduce the frontal area of the wing itself without changing anything internal on the wing. You just point your thrust in a different direction.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, it sounds a lot like a hang glider, basically. I mean, even though there's no, there, you're just gliding, but it sounds very similar.
Like you have on a hang.
Wow, you're cutting out pretty bad.
I'm sorry, I'm driving through the middle of nowhere. Yeah, there's all kinds of clever things you can do with wings.
So that makes me think that what you're talking about, it keeps it as simple. You just basically have a harness that you're underneath the wing itself, um,
No, no,
and you
you have
no.
you just have a thrust, and
Wow,
by changing the
I'm
vector of the
I'm
thrust, well, just think of a an oscillating fan, right?
right.
But the oscillation of the fan, it moves whatever angle you want it to, versus going
Right.
back and
Okay.
forth.
Yeah. Yeah. That actually Seems ultimately practical and very simple. Now that wing, if
Yeah,
that wing
because
was
that's the
filled
thing
with,
with aviation. The simpler it is, the better it is. The better it is. Because, you know, you can't pull on a.
man, I'm missing so much of your conversation. I'm sorry.
Sorry, my signal must be awful. Aviation, you get to be. You still there?
Yeah, yeah. It just I'd missed whatever you've been talking about. I've missed all of it.
Okay. There is a book you're really interested in this um, by Kelly Johnson, who is my
Oh, okay.
all-time favorite aviation engineer,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Same.
it's called it's and
Can you
it
can you repeat the name again?
will give you a what hit what KISS. Yeah, it looks like we lost Forge. Hey, Forge. Sorry, signal was so bad. Bubbly. Naughty, naughty. Double yellow line. See?
Well, did you have to make an emergency stop to download that Diablo sandwich?
No, not yet.
Dang thing looked good, but oh my God, you ate that for breakfast, huh?
no. I had it last night.
Oh, I thought you had it for breakfast this morning.
Nah.
You found you a Hardee's, huh?
Yeah, it was part of the fucking truck stop.
We used to have one in the town I moved to in Nebraska, and it was there for a couple of years, and it beat McDonald's to death. I mean, they had such a awesome menu compared to Mickey Gut Bombs, and then it
Okay.
went away.
Yeah.
Back where I grew up, they didn't have Hardee's. They had the other one,
Carl's
Carl's
Jr.
Jr. Yeah, exact same menu, same thing.
Yeah, they got bought out, or one of them bought the other one out a while back. They used to be just different. Carl's Jr. used to have this Western bacon cheeseburger that I really liked with barbecue sauce, onion rings on it. And I always felt those were quite tasty.
I always like the Hardee's, the sourdough burger.
Oh, yeah, those are good too.
Yeah, that was on the two sourdough buns. It was a like a what the heck was it called? I just thought of it too. It was like a patty melt, but it was dang it, now I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, Whataburger makes a patty melt if you ever get a Whataburger.
I think I've been to one Whataburger and it was down in Texas.
Yeah. With the grilled onions and the Thousand Island dressing. It's pretty fucking good.
Hello, Arbero. How are you?
He has been with us since fucking 5 this morning.
Oh, dang. I just got up from my afternoon nap.
Yeah.
And I gotta go buy me some meat for probably get me a ribeye steak for tomorrow. Go to the grocery store. Run some errands, play with the hound.
I'm surprised she let you take a nap.
Oh, she's gotten to the habit now that I'm gonna get home. I take off my boots and she'll start heading towards the bedroom. She likes to sleep right next to the bed.
Yeah. Oh, there's the routine now. Okay, let's go. Dogs are awesome.
What are you talking about?
Dogs. They're awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and at night if she thinks it's time to go to bed, which I go to bed pretty early nowadays, but if she is off by a little bit, she'll be in the bedroom and then she'll come out and turn around, look at me and go, oh. And, like trying to give me the hint. Isn't it past your bedtime?
Sam stands on the bed and fucking barks at me like if I'm reading. As I sit here in the driver's seat, and read because it's got the fucking electrical plug-in up here in my phone.
Yeah.
Die. I'm glad there wasn't any other cars in the fucking roundabout. We came in a little hot, but we made it.
Did you yell, hey, look, kids, Parliament, Big Ben?
"87 miles to Wichita."
You did a double stream today, huh?
Yeah, I had to get the electrical system of the truck fixed.
Oh,
Every fucking 2 hours or so, it was sending out "I'm fucked up" alarm. And I'd have to get up and turn the fucking truck on and charge the battery. It's supposed to be automatic, right?
oh
Well,
yeah.
they had the alarm set lower than the fucking threshold for the fucking truck actual sensor, but for the alarm for the inverter, it's fucking below the threshold of fucking what the truck saw as a low
Needs to
voltage on the battery.
start. Yeah. And that problem just now started? You've been driving this truck for a year.
No, I haven't been driving this truck for a year.
Huh.
It started about 2 weeks ago,
Huh.
and I had other problems that needed fixed first. And they finally got around to this one because I stopped and I said, "Hey, can you fix it today?"
And they said for the right amount of money, we can fix anything. Hello, Grinch.
Well, that's kind of true. The lead mechanic sells beef jerky, and
Oh, you were back at your home shop.
yeah,
Yeah, because you gave me some of that jerky, didn't you?
I believe so. I think I took
Yeah.
some of.
Yeah, I
Hey,
remember that.
have I
Yeah.
talked to you about the meetup yet?
Yeah, last week or a few days ago, but we didn't have any destinations, any nothing.
Well, I've been talking to a couple other folks, and the only one that has any type of anything going on that we have to plan around would be Zombra. And it worked out pretty well last year when we did it around our birthday. Because your birthday and my birthday is pretty fucking close together.
Okay.
So, and I've come up with a foolproof plan to
Okay. Foolproof.
foolproof.
Okay.
Um, this plan is designed so that Hamster cannot get away.
Oh, so it's some type of a gerbil trap, you would say?
Yes, yes. We'll disguise a hotel as Richard Gere's anus.
And Hamster will have to go in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but seriously, I think we ought to have it in St. Louis in April.
In St. Louis in April.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good to me. I'll have to start saving my pennies.
Okay.
I was gonna go buy a new gun, but now that's off the table.
Or you
I'd
could
have just
sell me a gun.
I would have lost it in a boat fire ice fishing accident anyways.
Yeah, those are fucking awful. And so they happen so often.
Yeah, they really, there's something about, I hope Trump can do something about it.
Yeah. Maybe improve the freaking flame retardancy of a boat or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Or just make ice fishing illegal.
Great again. No
Like,
barbecues on your ice boat. Got it.
that's right. Early April, late April,
Middle to late.
right. Middle to late.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometime like I think you're what, the 19th?
No, that would be. I think Hitler was born on the 19th. I actually do think Hitler was born on April 9th. I'd have to look it up.
I have no idea when Hitler was
No,
born.
mine's closer to the end.
Okay.
Have you talked to the intended gerbil trap?
He's hard to get a hold of.
Yeah. Well, he streams all the time. He's not that hard to get a hold of.
Well, that's him doing what he wants to do. Actually, getting in touch with him in real time is very hard. Because he'll answer the phone. What? I hate talking on the phone.
Well, just get yourself a $12 frickin' old Casio organ and just start singing really off tune and just beat on the keys while you're talking to him. You'll feel like home.
Yeah. Well, I figured that a mass fucking Lenny's breakfast would fucking interest him. He's never said no to fucking eating at Uncle Lenny's. Ah, shit, we lost the ape. I told you not to fap and fucking talk on the phone at the same time.
Oh fuck! I touched one of the wrong parts of the phone, and it. I
Yep.
looked up and I was like, "Oh, I'm gone." The last word I heard was Lenny's.
Yep, Uncle Lenny's. It's fucking awesome.
That's the breakfast joint you guys go to.
Yeah, we'll have to do a nice meal, but we got to do breakfast at Uncle Lenny's.
So if enough people pressure him, he'll show.
No, all you have to do is mention Uncle Lenny's and he'll come. It's like
Oh,
fucking, a siren song. Fat
ah,
man food for the hamster. Fat man food. Breakfast for
I
the
see.
rodent.
You talk to anybody else about it?
Yeah. I did. I can't remember. Rusty's been after me to fucking get something started.
What'd he say about it?
He wanted to do it in Austin. I think that's kind of funny, but I don't think it's would have the
Yeah.
widest appeal.
Yeah. I mean, Austin's got some really good barbecue, but
Yeah, but you know why we'd be in Austin. I don't think.
yeah, and you could get AIDS in Austin real easy. I mean, I'd rather
Yeah.
take my chances of getting shot at in St. Louis.
Well, we could be in the not get shot at part of the thing.
That would be a bonus.
There's a suburb of St. Louis called St. Charles. Right? It's where Hamster and I shot that video on Seaman, the wonder dog that went with fucking Mr. Clark.
Oh yeah, that must have been like more of an upscale neighborhood. That sounds more like the Ginger Assassins modus operandi. Now you cut out. Well, it's my show now. Hey, Cybertoxin. Oh, it's April 20th. I figured it was 19th or 20th. You know, True Blood dropped out of his own chat. Might be he got a phone call he has to answer.
All right, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes. Maybe you got
All
a phone
right.
call or something.
I
Had
was
to.
thinking that we could. No, just driving through the middle of fucking nowhere. Uh, there's a suburb of St. Louis that where Hamster and I shot that video on Lewis and Clark and the
Yeah.
Wonder Dog semen
Yeah.
called St. Charles. And I was thinking we could get another B&B, or not B&B, but fucking Airbnb, rent another little fucking house or something like that.
Yeah.
They've got all kinds of little restaurants around there, bars and shit.
Cool.
And you don't get, and you can't get, and you probably won't get shot. I had to change it to probably won't.
Most likely not get shot.
Right. Look at this dude tooling along in his fucking four-wheeler.
Yeah, that Airbnb in Mississippi that worked out great,
Yeah.
and it was the same price. It basically was the same price as a hotel, and you didn't
yeah.
have any freaking noisy neighbors or construction like Rev had, where they were redoing the
Yeah.
place at all hours.
Yeah. And Zombro wants to come some more people and get a bigger place. I don't know. But definitely
You were breaking
Zombro
up. You said
is,
that Zombro wants to go too.
yeah, he wants to do that too.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I've been
That
watching
place
for
was
some
great.
reason. I've been watching a bunch of chess channels lately.
Uh,
I can't play chess worth a shit, but I don't know. I've been watching all these chess channels.
yeah.
They keep coming up on the feed. Boy, some of them people, they get nasty. They're shit talking, especially the ones in New York City, in the parks there, like the ones that Zombro used to go
Yeah.
play. God, those people talk
Yeah.
a lot of shit.
Yeah. Fucking Zombro's daughter was after me a couple of different times to fucking play her, and I'm like, what? if you're beating Eric, and you just want to play me, it's for your own fucking ego. I'm not going to do it. I
It's
suck. I
well,
know I suck,
yeah.
and I don't play chess for fun. You do. You want to fucking play D&D with me? I'd be okay maybe if you weren't a cunt. But I have a feeling that somebody that's into chess isn't really going to dig D&D.
Oh, I don't know. They might like that. But the thing about D&D is that nobody wins.
Yeah, it takes ego all the way the fuck out of it. You get to do shit though that you never.
Well, there's let's see, she's a Swedish gal.
Yeah.
I think she's in her mid-20s, and her parents are both grandmasters at chess. Her mother was like only the second or third grandmaster woman in the world back in the late 70s or early 80s.
Yeah.
And God, it's funny watching because she'll take her mom out to some of these street games, and people will come up and start chit chatting, and start playing. And then the mom, and she's a very pleasant lady, she's probably in her 70s. She looks like she's probably in her late 60s, early 70s, somewhere around there. Her
Right.
and her husband. And this just unassuming little lady, very nice, very pleasant to be around. But man, is she a freaking murderer on on the chessboard. But she's real sweet about it. She doesn't talk smack. She'll say,
That probably
okay,
makes it
well,
worse.
yeah, because she's not talking any shit. She just does it, and then the other people you can see the wheels turning. And they're like, ugh. And then at the end, a lot of the times, the daughter will say, "Well, yeah, my mother is a grandmaster," and they're like, "Oh, well, dang."
It shows.
Well, this one guy, he was there. He was there with his girlfriend and like
Aquila for RO.
another gal. They were traveling through Europe, and they were walking by or something, and he said, "Well, I'd like to play," and he didn't have any idea. And the old lady was there, and he was kind of I don't know. He was kind of a femmy dude with the man bun.
Oh.
But he was there with his girlfriend, and they were traveling Europe, and they had her best friend with them, or something going on. And so he was a real nice guy. He wasn't a super good player. He says, "Oh, I play a little bit. I'm not very good." And so the old lady was sitting there talking to him about different moves and stuff like that. Well, why would you want to do this? And blah blah blah. And then she beats him like, I mean, it was probably 12 moves. And he's like, "Well, thank you so much." And then they said, the girl goes, "Well, my mother is a grandmaster, one of the first women grandmaster." And that guy's like, "Oh my gosh!" He goes, "It was a pleasure losing to you," or something like that.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to play me. It was a pleasure meeting you. It was a pleasure getting beat by you. He understood the gravity of it, though. He was cool about it. He was just like, man, and because it gave him a reason why she beat me so bad so quick. So, and then there's this Russian girl that does I don't know if she has a school or something. She's always streaming, and there's a bunch of people at this place, and it's real odd times. I mean, well, of course, I think they're probably on Russian time. I don't think it's in America, but she'll play people, and once in a while she'll have like a kid. This one kid showed up, and he looked like he was Middle Eastern kid. He was like 12 years old.
Right.
And she goes, how old are you? And he says 12. And I mean, he was young. He frickin' mopped the floor with her. And I don't know if she's a grandmaster or not. I think she might be. But yeah, she just looked at she films it, she looks at the camera, the eyes get kind of big, like, oh boy, this is gonna hurt. But they do that speed stuff, where it's like 3 minutes. And I know that that would make me I would make so many mistakes if I couldn't sit there and think something through, that they play these speed games that are like 3 minutes long, and it's like, geez, I can't even figure out what's going on, even watching, because they'll superimpose the board, and show what each move did. Doesn't mean anything to me if it's going that fast. I haven't played chess in, well, let's see, been 35, about 30, probably 33 years.
Yeah.
My friend and I used to play it over. He lived probably about 30 miles away from me. Went to another school and everything because his family had moved away, and we used to play over the phone. We'd set up boards and just talk on the phone and tell each other, what move you're going to do. He was pretty decent at it. I never even got close to winning a game ever.
Yeah, I had a friend in college who was he was getting his PhD in mathematics, but he always had really good whiskey, and for some reason or another, he enjoyed my company. I don't fucking understand why, but we. I'd go over to his place. He would just fucking kill me.
But you got to drink his really good whiskey.
Fuck yeah. He had a K car, and I think I single-handedly kept that fucker going while he was going to school.
Chrysler K car?
Chrysler K car.
Oh, man. Lee Iacocca's freaking dream for America.
Yeah.
With the 2.2 liter Mitsubishi engine?
I don't remember. It's been so many fucking years ago.
Yeah, I think all of those ran those Mitsubishi 4-cylinders.
Yeah.
When Chrysler wasn't Mopar, it was Chrysler.
It was subpar.
Subpar, yes. You don't see too many of those cars still running around, kind of like the K cars that were the New Yorkers or that body style and everything. God, I can't remember the last time I seen one of them running.
Fucking box. And it was fucking really fucking pale canary yellow. Ugliest goddamn car you've ever fucking won.
Wow, I'm trying to think if I've ever seen one that was that yellow. That couldn't have been a real popular color.
No.
The only really good yellow looking cars, I think, are like some of the Corvettes. Look good in yellow. And the Buick GSXs, with the 455s. The Buick GSs, they were that Saturn yellow, and then they had that black stripe down the side.
Oh.
They look like Chevelles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I still don't know what you're talking about, but I know what a Chevelle looks like.
Well, like a 68, 69 Chevelle. The Buick GSXs were basically on the same platform. They just had different grills and different taillights and trim and stuff, but similar GM bodies. But yeah, they had some that they called it. I think it was called Saturn Yellow, and it is a bright yellow. But man, those are neat cars.
Yeah,
I've seen some yellow Corvettes.
it was almost a pastel. It was fucking really pale, but you know,
Yeah.
almost the color of a fucking banana.
Mm.
It was not a good looking car. But this guy, he he fucking married this chick, but this is how we stopped being buddies. Um, I had he was a big tall fucker, but just goofy as all get out. And this is back in the '80s before I got into the service. It's when I fucking flunked out of college the first time because, well, I was in a band and I was having a lot more fun playing heavy metal music instead of
Doing your schoolwork.
yeah. And I knew some chicks because he would always come to our fucking, whenever we'd play, and he'd hang out every once in a while at the practice, which also had fucking these little groupies that would come by when they knew that we had to shut down because of the noise ordinances. And one of them wanted to fuck this guy, and he had started going out with this English major chick who I thought was a lesbian. Apparently she's not. And I tried to fucking set him up with this girl, and his future wife was standing right there.
Oh, jeez. Oh, so she was cock blocking him, huh?
Yeah.
Needless to say, you didn't get to hang out with him anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she did that. You can't see those people anymore, and he was being a simp and fucking went for it.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's up to now. Wonder if he's still married to her.
I don't know. Last I heard was about 30 years ago. He had taken a job with a fucking insurance company. And he was figuring, his job was to sit around all day and figure out the odds of different shit happening and how much it would cost the company.
Ah, so he would do all the data to trying to figure out how they were going to screw the customers, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Anyways, that's what he was doing for a living, not a bad job for a fucking mathematician.
Yeah.
I know he was pulling in some big bucks.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably was. That was probably a pretty decent paying career.
But I've completely lost touch with him. Damn that fucking evil cunt. Took away my fucking good whiskey.
Well, you can always buy new whiskey.
Has to. You can't fucking get new friends. Well, you can. New friends with good whiskey that are willing to play or pay you. Not pay you. Share their whiskey with you.
Well, yeah. Got to be in the right place at the right time, I guess.
Yeah.
Zombro share whiskey with you.
Yeah, he would. I just wanted everybody to know about the bet with Billy. That's why I made that little post.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's some pretty good AI art there. He even got the right kind of bike that he's riding.
Yeah. I think that that Billy would probably share good whiskey with you too.
Oh yeah, maybe. Don't know if he's a whiskey drinker or not, but he just seems like a good feller.
Yeah, I think he has pretty good taste.
He does come up with some interesting games, though. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
There was no way. I kept trash talking you in the chat. I'm like, you're not gonna get anything. You're gonna lose. Blah blah blah. And you kept
Yeah.
scraping together freaking answers.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so pissed on that last one. I fucking switched those two around. If I hadn't switched them, I'd have gotten all 5 right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy when you look at a picture of somebody and you think, "Oh, I got that person pegged. I know what they did," and it's like, "Whoa, they did something completely opposite of what you would have thought."
Oh, I got to make those types of determinations on the daily in the fucking truck stops. Do I
Yeah,
need to walk?
true.
Do I need to walk past this guy with my hand on my carry? Uh,
I was watching this guy that does a bunch of memes on his show, and one of them, somebody had sent him, and it was a trucker, and he was bobtailing it. So I don't know if it was his own trailer that he was using because I couldn't see the other end of the trailer.
so if you're
But
bobtailing, you don't have a trailer.
oh, I know, but he was in a truck stop and there was another trailer right in front of him. So I don't know if
Oh,
that was his trailer and he disconnected and then pulled around to the side. So he was sitting at a 90-degree angle to a trailer.
okay.
And he had a projection TV system in his truck. So he projected a 10-foot wide screen through his windshield onto the trailer, on a white trailer, and he was watching TV or a movie or something.
Cool.
Like he was sitting in a movie theater.
Yeah, like
You
the
know,
drive-in.
yeah. And then one of the people put down in the comments, he's watching trailers. I was like, oh damn. But yeah, he had some kind of a projection system set up, and I don't know if he mounts it outside of the windshield so he doesn't get glare or whatever. You know, maybe he hooks it to his fucking mirror. I don't know. It was kind of far off. You could just see this truck sitting at a 90 to the trailer, and then you could see the this screen basically that the trailer made. But it was probably 12 feet by, or 10 feet by 10 feet, maybe. Wasn't square, so 10 feet by 8 feet, maybe 8 feet high, 10 feet wide. The screen.
Yeah.
So looked pretty cool though. I was like, well, that's kind of a neat idea. That's why I'm wondering if it was his trailer that he was towing, so he had unhooked and then come back around but who knows?
Yeah.
That technology has come a long way.
Fuck yeah.
Man, they've
It's
got
just
some
like,
projection TVs. My buddy that I was telling you about that's hooked up with this gal that I went out to dinner with him here a couple months ago. They've got a projection TV room downstairs, and she made a deal. It has a roll down screen, but it looks like a movie theater. It's got like the velvet curtains, that go across
nice.
and close, and then it opens up. The screen comes down, and then this projector TV comes out of the ceiling. It just kind of dips down, and she made a
Yeah.
home theater. So looked pretty cool. I guess he has some pretty good Super Bowl parties, but I know I'll get invited, but I won't go because there's another person that we used to be friends for quite a few years that we had a very bad, we just don't talk to each other anymore.
Hey, falling out.
Yes, a falling out, you could say. So whenever this friend asks me, hey, you want to come over for this, or do you want to do Super Bowl party? I'll say, is so-and-so going to be there? Yep. Is his wife? Yeah, I think so. No thanks.
3
And now it's
hours,
gotten to the point where
31 minutes left.
I'll just say, is so and so going to be there? And he goes, yeah. And I'll say, no
About
thanks.
maybe 45 minutes from Wichita. How far north can I go?
What are you talking about?
It's trying to figure out where I'm going to spend the night.
Oh,
I know I can get north of Wichita, but I'm trying to think, can I make it to Salina? I don't think I can.
how much time do you have left?
3 hours, 30 minutes.
You're probably pretty far from
I can probably get about
Salina then.
100 miles north. I can probably get about 100 miles north of Wichita.
Oh, Arvero says he has a 1970 GS 455 convertible Buick. Nice.
Sweet.
And he said the 1970 GSX came in Saturn yellow or Apollo white. Yep, he is correct. I remember the Apollo white too.
Come to think of it, I think this fucking K car had a fucking racing stripe on it. I don't know why. It had the weirdest fucking transmission.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it didn't have a clutch, but it was a standard transmission.
So it had an auto clutch?
I think so.
So you had to manually shift gears, but there was no clutch?
Yeah.
Huh.
Thank
Well,
God
leave
that
it
thing
to
never broke down.
Lee Iacocca.
What he had problems with on that fucking thing was his carburetor.
Yeah.
That thing was always fucking up.
Well, they were made to be extremely cheap, so people could afford them, and that's what brought Chrysler from the brink of destruction.
Yeah.
They sold a shit ton of those cars.
Yep. Fiat currency. Yeah, Iacocca brought her back. Then they ran it into the fucking ground.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
They're good at that. Arvero says those trannies shifted both ways. Yeah. Oh, Arvero's talking to Kevin Killjoy, and he says, I'm not a Mopar guy, but some of them were very good looking. Better than a Chevelle or a Nova. How dare you, sir?
Hemi's not even here to kiss his ass.
Yeah. True.
Looks like there's a storm coming. Great.
I do like the 68 through 72 Novas.
They are
My mom had a Nova
cars.
when I was a little kid. She had a Nova. It was one of the hatchback ones. So I don't know what year. I don't remember. It was like a dark metallic blue.
Oh, that was a beautiful color. I remember those cars. And a buddy of mine had a Chevelle with that same color, and he one day was driving over to my house, and the fucking driver's side front tire just came off.
Oh, damn. Did it wreck the car? Did he wreck?
No, he didn't wreck. It fucked up the undercarriage, though.
Oh, I imagined.
He
Hey,
was
Radical
doing
Raptor's in here.
He was doing probably 50.
Yeah, I watched a very good friend of mine. We just picked up his dad's Volkswagen Bug from a European specialist repair facility. They've specialized in Audis and VWs.
Yeah.
And we drove it all the way across town. We get on the interstate, and I'm right behind him, and he just starts getting up to speed, and I see the left rear tire start to do a violent wobble, and then it breaks off the wheel and everything. He hits the ground and is fishtailing on down the highway, and all I could think of is I'm going to watch one of my best friends die. That's what instantly went through my head, is I'm going to watch him roll this car and die. He didn't roll. There was sparks of flying, and he got her pulled over. But I remember watching the tire skipping down the interstate, and it hit the center Jersey barriers.
Yeah.
Went over the top of the Jersey barrier and hit this old black guy's, was it a Monte Carlo? It was a Monte Carlo or a Buick. And, or the Oldsmobile of that style, like the early 80s.
Yeah.
And it hit right where the door and the front fender meet that crease. And this the tire, I remember watching it hit, and I thought, because after I saw that he was getting the car under control, my flashes in my head, okay, he's not gonna die. And then I looked at that tire go over that Jersey barrier, and I thought, whoever that gets hit by that is gonna die. And it hit his car right there on where the front fender and the door meet. And that's one of those cars that has those huge doors. You know, I had an 81 Monte Carlo. It fucking caved in right there. He could barely get that door open. And I rounded him up, my buddy, and then we went looking for that guy. And he had pulled over on the other side of the interstate. This was Interstate 90, so it was busy. But I'm just glad it didn't hit somebody with a motorcycle or go through a windshield, because it would have killed somebody. Yeah. But yeah, so we get a hold of the company, and they said that they get this, the car went in for a brake job. So new wheel cylinders, cups, piston, springs, brake shoes. And this guy told us that he did all that work. I never removed that wheel. You did a brake job, but you never removed the wheel. He sat there and lied and said that he never took that wheel off because he didn't tighten up the. Those didn't have studs with nuts on them. They had wheel studs that held the wheel on. Instead of having a wheel stud coming through and then you put a lug nut on. And he wouldn't fess up to it. He wouldn't own up to it. He said that he did a brake job without taking the wheel off. And I looked at him and I just shook my head. Whatever, you lying motherfucker. But
just about killed 2 people and he fucking can't own up to it.
No, he wanted to lie about it. He was open for a few years, but then that business went under for some reason.
Should have sued the fuck out of it.
Oh, Vero goes, there's just too many Nova and Chevelles on the road. Nothing wrong with them, but they're just, each village has 1 or 2 Chevelle or Nova guys in it.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Vero, it takes a village
to own a Chevelle. My favorite muscle cars, if I had the money to buy, I really, really like the look of a 65 GTO.
Oh, they're nice.
GTOs are my favorite old school muscle car. And when I was in high school, I was 16 years old, and I was assistant manager of a pizza joint. At 16,
Woohoo!
I had keys to this place at 16 years old. I was like, man, they're fucking pretty stupid, trusting my ass. But anyways,
Yeah.
but another guy that worked there had a 68 GTO, and he wanted to sell it to me for $600, I think it was.
Oh.
But I couldn't get my driver's license because my mom didn't think I was mature enough and didn't have a good enough job to pay for my own insurance and everything, and wasn't mature enough at 16 to get a driver's license. So I had to wait until I was 18 when she couldn't tell me no. So I didn't buy it, and it had a 400 Pontiac in it, but the engine was a transplant. It was out of a Le Mans of similar years. It wasn't the original GTO motor, which would have been a 400 anyways, but it come out of a Le Mans. And I quit working at that place, and I was working at an auto parts store. And a guy come in. Oh, this had to have been probably about a year later. And he come in and he wanted a complete gasket and bearing kit for a Pontiac 400. And I said, what year? Oh, it doesn't matter. And I said, well, it helps me with the book here, because we didn't have the computers. We had the catalog racks,
Right.
That were 15 feet long. And I said, well, It just helps me to make sure that I get you the right kit. And he goes, well, it's a 68 GTO, but it's a 68 Le Mans 400. And I looked at him and I said, is it white? And he goes, yeah. I said, did it have a broken right rear tail light? It had a chunk missing out of it. And he goes, yeah. I said, oh, I almost bought that car. I said, why are you doing this work? And he says, well, it spun a bearing. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this thing was all white. 68 GTO, all white, but the front, you know how they had that fiberglass front nose clip?
Yeah.
And it stuck out in the middle. It kind of had a point to it.
Uh-huh.
That was black. So it was all white, but that front clip was black. And then, like I said, the right rear tail light lens was broken out, and at that time it was hard to find those. But I'm sure there's people that remanufacture them, like Year One. They have catalogs with those cars, where that's all Chevelles and Malibus and GTOs and stuff, and you can go buy like manufactured that it looks like old stock, but it's something else. It's not original. So, but that would have been my first car. So I kind of dodged a bullet on that, and then I found out. That my dad tried to buy a car for me, and he didn't find it in time. He didn't call the number in time, and it was a 70. Was it a 71? 71 Challenger RT 383 4-speed, and it was the plum crazy with the black hockey stick stripe.
Yeah.
And it was a farmer. The only thing wrong with the car, the engine had been redone through a racing shop there in my hometown. So I knew the engine would have been built, because these guys, that's all they did was hot rod stuff. it was a farmer that it was his kid's car, and he got too many speeding tickets. So the farmer took it away from his kid, and he sold it for $1,500.
Oh God.
And my dad said, I called the guy, and he says, "Oh, I sold it 10 minutes ago." And he looked at me and he says, "That would have been your first car." And I was like, "Oh, fuck." Yep.
Fuck. I would want a 1972 Corvette Stingray. My grandpa's brother, Uncle Charlie, fucking had one brand new, and I was 5 years old, and he let me fucking steer it.
Yeah.
He put me on his fucking lap and fucking gave it hell, and I had a hold of his steering wheel. And Uncle Charlie was a bit of a drunk, and he was having a good old time.
You had fun, didn't you?
Oh fuck yeah! To this day, I want one of those. It was
Yeah.
that fucking cobalt blue, and he got it stock factory with the fucking side pipes.
Well, 72, you could have got a 454 for it.
He had a big fucking engine in there. I don't know exactly
Yeah.
how big. I was 5.
It would have been,
right.
yeah. Yeah, because a 72, if it was a big block, should have been a 454. Yeah, but my dad had the first Corvette he had was a, God, I want to say it wasn't an 81, 80 or 79. And it was, it had the fish tank back window, the big back window.
Yeah.
It didn't have the slats like the early 70s, like the Mako Corvettes. That's what they called those, were Makos. From, what was it, 70, 68, 69, 70. It's like 70 to 75 or whatever. I might be wrong. But they had the short back window. There was only
Uncle
like...
Uncle Charlie had the fucking detachable fucking hardtop. You could take it off, but it was like a separate piece. But it looked like a fucking regular Corvette with it on, and a convertible with it off.
Oh, it was a convertible hardtop?
Yeah.
Or like the T-top?
No.
It just come off in one piece?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he had I think it might have been an 80, 81, but it was white and it had cream leather interior.
Nice.
And the carpet wasn't really a cream. It was almost like a light yellow, the carpet. It was kind of a weird combo.
70s.
Yeah, in early 80s, yeah. It was a cool car, but it was a 305. I think it was a 305 with that crossfire injection or whatever, which was a dog. It was no speed demon by any means. And then he bought, later on, he had a buddy that had a Corvette in his garage, and he had parked it for 8 years because he took it out one night and he was a little bit drunk from the bar, and it had rained, so the road was slick, and he did 3 donuts in the middle of an intersection. He turned and got on it, and he spun around like 3 times through an intersection, and it scared him so much he took the car home and parked it. And basically it was on blocks when my dad bought it, and it was a 65 Corvette convertible. It was a convertible, and it had the hard top. It had a hard top that you could take off, and then it had the convertible top that would fold up.
Yep.
And it was a 327 4-speed car, and it was painted the most god-awful midnight black, but it had glitter in the paint. So the sun would hit it, and you'd be getting these little chevrons coming off of like 800 different angles, and it was just fucking hideous. So my dad was quite a wrench. He could really work on stuff, and he stripped her down, had it painted, and he went through. The engine had sat for 8 years, so he completely tore that 327 down, new bearings, new gaskets, went through it, and got it all put together, and then it painted it a I don't even know the name of the color. It was like it wasn't sky blue. It was darker than a sky blue.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like indigo. It wasn't real dark. And then he put baby moons all the way around, and it was painted that blue, and it was a beautiful car. And 1984, I remember it because I have the hat. In 1984, I was 12 years old, and he had a pad, a leather pad made for the emergency brake handle because it was in between the seats.
Right.
And I sat on that pad, and he had the top. He had it as a convertible, and we drove it from where we were at down to the Columbia River to the Tri-Cities and watched the hydroplane races on the Columbia River.
Cool.
And then I rode back, and he was doing like 80, 85, and my hairline was just about at the top of the windshield. So it was just blowing my hair straight back, loud as shit. And we were hauling ass back, and so it was me. I was sitting on the center part in between the seats. I had an arm around him and an arm around his girlfriend, and I'm sitting in the middle in a Corvette doing 80, 90 miles an hour down the freaking interstate at 11 o'clock at night. And he was drinking beer all day long at the races. So, yeah, it probably could have been a real bad situation. But it's one of those memories you go, well, it was fun at the time.
Yeah.
And at the time, in 1984, there were only 2 boats that were racing that were turbine boats. All the rest of them were the old Rolls-Royce engines.
Yeah.
You know, like the V12s.
Yeah,
and
they took them out of fucking World War II fighters.
Yeah, so the Miss Budweiser was a prop boat, you know, or a engine boat, and we were on inner tubes floating on the river, just sitting there watching the races, and then you dip your head under the water, and you could hear that prop chopping through, and just the sound it made was awesome. But the Atlas Van Lines was the Oh Boy Oberto, and the Atlas Van Lines, I think, were the only 2 turbine boats that were there, and the Atlas Van Lines won it. It was the Gold Cup, or Columbia Cup, or Gold Cup. Can't remember. I think it was the Gold Cup. I think is the series, so maybe it was the Columbia Cup that they won. But yeah, watching a boat go by at 200 fucking miles an hour on the water, and you're all on the water on an inner tube is pretty cool when you're 12 years old. That was pretty cool when you're an old man. But yeah, that Corvette, it was a 4-speed, and he could drive anywhere in town in second gear because it would do like 65, 70 in first gear. It was just, it had highway gears. It was not fast. Like 0 to 60, it wasn't fast because it just, the gearing was wrong. I don't know if that was the stock gearing or what it just had in it, but yeah, he could cruise around. You could cruise around in second gear doing 35, 40 miles an hour, no problem. But you get her out on the highway and step on it, and that car had legs. It would go into the triple digits pretty good. He took it up as fast as it would go right before he sold it. He bought it for $8,500. That would have been probably 1983, which that was pretty good price for a car, $8,500.
Yeah.
Bought it for $8,500. Put the new bearings and gaskets in it, had it painted and blah, blah, blah. Drove it for 3 years and sold it for $12,500.
Nice. Back when you could fucking work with your hands and fucking make a product.
Well, yeah, I mean, shit, a 65 327. you lift up the hood and there was nothing but engine.
Yeah.
God, I think it had manual brakes, manual steering. I remember it. I thought the shifter knob and the handle were so cool on those Corvettes because it looked like it was like a T handle, had a ball on the top, but it had a T handle underneath of it, you know. And you pulled up on that to put it in reverse. So you couldn't screw up and you know, accidentally put it in reverse. You had to pull that handle up with your 2 fingers. You just pulled it up and then you could put the car in reverse.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a cool car. That would have been a nice gift to give to your son that you only saw 3 times a year.
We'll certainly got you some points, that's for sure.
Yeah. And then I never did see that car, but at one time he had one of those. It was a bright green with the black top Triumph TR7. I always called them door wedges because they look like you jam them into the bottom of a fucking door.
Yeah.
And it had that mid-engine. I think it was were those mid-engine?
No.
Or they were front engine.
Yeah.
But it had a little 4-cylinder in it. And he said that fucking Triumph, because I never saw him or that car together. And he said that it was the biggest piece of shit, always breaking down, electrical problems. Those 70s Triumphs had fucking terrible electrical systems. Triumphs and Jaguars. Anything British had bad wiring back then, I think.
Yeah, my brother had a fucking TR4, and he never could get that goddamn thing to run. It had the fucking side draft fucking pistons.
Side draft carburetors?
Side draft carburetors.
Yeah.
He never could get that fucking thing to run.
He couldn't get them synced up to run worth of shit, huh?
No.
My uncle has one of those Jaguar, they call it an F-Pace. It's an SUV. It looks like a Ford Explorer. It kind of has that same body shape as the newer Ford Explorers.
Uh-huh.
But we went on a little trip 2 years ago when I went back on vacation. We went to go see my cousin. He was working on a bridge project. He was on a one of those giant cranes, but it was floating in Lake Ponderay on a barge. So he runs a crane that's on top of a barge. But we took that, and boy, you talk about it was all-wheel drive, and it had 300. I think that one is 385 horse.
Jesus.
And the top dog model of that thing had like, the fuck he say it was like 5.25 or something like that. But this thing was 385 horse, and fuck, you talk about he'd hammer on it, and that sucker would throw you in the seat, and it felt heavy. The car just felt very, very stable. It wasn't tinny. It didn't nothing shook or when it hit a rut in the road, you know, or anything. Nothing. It was dead quiet, comfortable, heated, air conditioned, and heated leather seats, and just really, really nice. But he said when he was a kid, when he was little, and he'll be 70. He's 69. He was born in 56. So he'll be 69 years old. He said, I always wanted a Jaguar. When I was a little kid, I'd see a Jaguar, which was pretty rare back then. He said, I always wanted a Jaguar when I was a kid. He said, I finally got one. Arvero says, who remembers laying down on the rear speaker tray? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, those side draft carburetors were probably Weber's. He was talking about those on that Triumph.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably were Weber's.
Yeah, Rob bought 2 of these fucking Triumphs. One was going to be his parts bitch, and the other one was going to be the one that he fucking worked up. He never. He would think he had it done. He'd take it out for a test drive, and we just waited for the phone call.
Yeah.
Can
Oh,
you
Grinch
come
has got to go. He's got an HOA meeting, so that means he's going to be the Karen.
Yeah. He's no longer the head Karen. Now he's the I'm going to call your manager type. He's no longer the manager Karen.
Oh, is he still a cul-de-sac commando though?
He is. I think
Okay.
he's gotten. I think he got an extra stripe when they fucking fired him out of being the fucking president.
Oh,
Made him mean.
now he's out for vengeance. At large member, he says. Oh, now he's talking about his penis. We don't need to hear about your member.
Yeah. Keep that to yourself, sir.
Yeah, my mom even talks about that, back in the days, when she graduated, when she was in high school, my dad was in high school. My dad told me, he says, when I was in high school, and he graduated in 1971, he said, everybody we knew had a hot rod. His buddy, that's why I like the 65 GTOs. His buddy had a 65 GTO convertible, 389 tri-power car. So it had the 6 carburetors, 389 4-speed convertible. And they raced every day after school. Somebody was racing. And he said everybody had Chevelles, Mustangs, Camaros, GTOs, GTXs, Challengers, Chargers. He said everybody that they knew had fast cars,
Yeah.
And now, they wrecked them. Somebody would wreck, they'd get fucked up, or they'd hit a telephone pole or some shit, and they'd total a car, and they'd save up and go get another one. It's like, how many of those cars went to the freaking boneyard? What they would be worth today,
Yeah.
Hell, I remember when I was in high school, we had those wheels deals where it was you'd find them at the 7-Elevens and stuff, and it had all the cars for sale in the area. People would take a picture, describe their car, say what they wanted, and it was a free magazine. You'd pick it up and look through there. I remember seeing a 69 Charger. It was I think it was a 318 car. It was either a 318 or a 383 car. I think it was a 318 car. 69 Charger with a 318, $1,500. I didn't have $1,500.
Yeah. Well, $1,500.
I remember
back then was a lot of money.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're talking in the late '80s, early '90s. I remember.
At that period of time, I was pulling in maybe $300, $400 a week.
Yeah.
When you're fucking
month and a half pay.
Yeah, when you're chasing pussy and fucking drinking beer, because we didn't used to go out to eat like people eat now.
Yeah.
And, it'd take you all fucking summer to save for a car.
Yeah.
But you could save for a car in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't do that now.
Well, I remember seeing. I like those FJ40 Land Cruisers, the Toyota Land Cruisers.
Oh, the old ones, yeah.
Yeah, the ones that look like a Jeep. My dad had one of those too. He had a 77 '77 FJ40 Land Cruiser. It was I call it coffee creamer brown.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a mocha color, and then it had the white top.
Yeah.
And I remember it being in high school. You could buy one of those for $1,500 or cheaper if it was kind of beat up. Now you can't touch an FJ40 Land Cruiser for under $25,000, and it's going to be one that you have to work on.
Right.
It's like Jesus, 30 years ago I could have bought one for $1,500. Now $1,500 won't buy a bumper for one.
And my neighbor 2 houses down got a fucking Willis Jeep, Vietnam War era fucking Willis, and he just bought the fucking pieces. How much do you think he paid for that?
$250
in 1983. Yeah,
probably $250.
it was 400, but yeah.
And now those Willys Jeeps are worth a lot of money.
Fuck yeah.
I got a buddy that's got one. He's got I don't remember what year it is. It's in the 40s, late 40s, I think. It still has the tappet, what they call it, the tappet bearings or
Babbitt.
Yeah, Babbitt bearings in the engine,
Yeah.
Old inline 4. And he's like 6'5", so he gets in it and his fucking head's almost sticking above the windshield.
Yeah. Fucking Billy. Fucking man, I think we put that fucking Jeep together. It was in fucking literally. The only thing that was together on it was the frame. We put that fucking Jeep together in a weekend.
And started it up and drove it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Find a new modern car that's in crates and put it all together and get the wiring and everything to work.
Well, Billy's dad fucking wouldn't let him fucking turn it on until he went through it. Right? He let us do all the work, but he came around behind us and fucking looked at everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And poor Billy fucking died. Damn it.
I had a couple kids that. What's that? Go ahead.
Oh, he fucking got fucking liver cancer.
Oh. We had a couple of guys that were in a different high school. I used to go to a place. It was called a vocational skills center.
Right.
And your junior and senior year, you could go to this, and it was half of your day. And they had auto mechanics classes, auto body. They had a radio course where you could learn how to work at a radio station. And it was a really good program. Well, I took the auto mechanics one, and we had these 2 kids that were always, the one guy's name was Perry. And then the other kid, God, what was his name? I can't remember his name. I think it was Mike or something. But anyways, they always rode together. And Perry would do burnouts every fucking day after class. He would do a burnout or just take off like a stripe-ass ape. I mean, just crazy. And he had a 69 Dart GT. And the engine was built up. It was pretty healthy. It was a fast car. And so our junior year, he was driving that. Our senior year, he shows up with a Ford Galaxy or a Fairlane. I can't remember. I always get them confused. But it was like a 65, 64, 65, 66, somewhere in there. And he had it lowered so it was pretty low to the ground, but it was built too. And I said, "What happened to the Mopar?" "Oh, I wrecked it." I was like, "Oh yeah." Well, everybody always said, he'd take off and drive like a maniac. And I told my buddies, I said, "Man, one of these days he's going to get killed." And he had that senior year, he had that car. And right after our graduation, I heard that they both were in a wreck, running along the river on a very twisted road, going way too fast, and they wrapped that car around a tree. And it killed one of them instantly, and the other one, I can't remember if Perry or Mike got killed first, but one of them was on life support but was brain dead. I mean, just had severe, massive head trauma because they didn't wear seatbelts, So when they hit that tree, one guy smashed into the other one, and everything else that goes on in a wreck like that. But yeah, it killed both of them, and it was right after our graduation. It was like 2 months after we graduated high school. Both of them dead. But you could see it coming. He'd ask, "Hey, you want to ride? You want to go for a ride?" "Nope." It's just one of those deals. You knew it was going to happen. It just happened a lot sooner than I expected it to. He went out of high school for 2 months, and he got killed and killed his best friend. So, and wrecked 2 classic cars.
Yep.
But that 69, it was a 69 Dart GT, and it was, I don't know the color, if they call it root beer or like a butterscotch, but it was a metal flake, almost a copper color, like a bright copper. And it had a white top. White vinyl top, I think. And it was like a metallic copper.
I can see it in my head.
You can see that color? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a cool looking car. I mean, it was beautiful. I can't remember if it had white vinyl or white interior or black. I'm trying to remember, but shit, this was 37 years ago. Almost 40. God, those guys have been dead for almost 40 years. Man, think about what they would have accomplished in their life, if they'd still be alive, what they'd be doing right now. They'd probably be on MGTOW channel.
Yeah, they've been dead twice as long as they were alive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they died at 18.
I had a buddy that he was riding his motorcycle home from a party one night. Green truck pulled right in front of him. Fucking decapitated him from the fucking chest up.
Oh. Well, that's the number one killer of motorcyclists, is somebody usually turning left in front of you.
Yeah.
And you run into them, or they clip you as you're going by because they don't look for motorcycles. They don't see a motorcycle. They're looking for 2 headlights, or they're looking for a car coming at them. They don't register bikes. So I always try to, on like 4-lane, not highways, but on like 4-lane roads, I usually try to stay in the right lane. I try to give myself as much room for somebody coming across the center line, whether they're turning or gawking at their cell phone, so I don't get taken out by somebody drifting across the center line. And I see these guys riding these Harleys, and their left foot is hanging on the center line. One of them's got to take that lane, and their fucking foot is basically on the center line. And all it's going to take is somebody to look down at their phone for half a second, and they just ripped your left leg off and killed you. It's like, ugh. I try to stay away from traffic when I'm on my motorcycle. I give everybody else a wide berth.
I drove a Franken Harley for a while.
Yeah.
It had the self-changing oil system. You
Oh,
never had
yeah.
to you never
You
had to
just put
fucking
oil in it. Yeah.
yeah, you never had to drain
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that was an old bike. Yeah, you just fill the oil tank, and as it runs through the engine, it drips out the bottom.
Yeah, the fucking oil tank on that thing it looked like a fucking it was a square fucking little tank with a fucking little the cap on it was made of metal, and
Yeah.
it was almost like a fucking the cap on it was the quality of cap that you'd find on a fucking soda bottle. It was just fucking it's the fucking shittiest fucking thing you ever.
Well, there's a bar in around here that they have. I think the last time I counted, they have 16 Harleys in the bar, and the owner has some old. Uh, One of them, there was a biker gang called the Galloping Goose,
Uh-huh.
and he has a bike that he bought from one of the original members of the Galloping Goose. That guy was like 75 years old, 78 years old, and he bought this bike from him. So he's got that. He's got several engines, like almost every different version, like the pan heads and the shovel heads and everything. He's got an engine sitting on the end of the bar, and he's missing one of them. He says, "Oh, they're hard to find, without paying an arm and a leg." But he's got like 4 or 5 Harley engines sitting on the end of the bar, and he's got a dozen bikes that circle the outside of the wall right there, and I think he's got 4 more bikes in the back. But yeah, it's kind of neat. I mean, if you're into motorcycles, I'm not a Harley fan myself, but I like looking at old bikes and stuff. And I went in there and talked to the owner and was BSing with him. I've known him for a lot of years, and I said, "Well, tell me some of the history." Well, okay. And he'd come out and he was pointing. Well, this one belonged to so and so, and he was friends with so and so, and they were Hell's Angels or something like that. He's got several ones that are from big bike gangs. He's bought bikes from these guys that were 1%ers. But yeah, so he'd go through there and was telling me the history on it and stuff. And then he told me that one about the Galloping Goose. And I was like, man, that's a cool looking old bike. I don't know how much money he's got invested in there, but quite a bit. You got a bunch of vintage Harleys like that.
Yeah.
Got 1 or 2 that are set up like choppers, and I can't remember. And he's gone all over the U.S. to get these things. Well, my dad and his buddy decided to go from Washington State to Disneyland, riding 2 up on a Honda CB750 chopper.
Fuck.
He told me about that story. He didn't go into detail, so I don't know if it was a drug run or if it was just 2 guys fucking bored. Let's go ride to Disneyland. But he told me that they go through Oregon and they ran into rain. They didn't have any gear, no helmets, nothing. You're just back then. He said they got some garbage sacks and they poked their head through and their arms through garbage bags, and that was their rain gear. And then he said when they were coming back, they were running low on fuel, and between the 2 of them, I think he said they had 16 cents left between the 2 of them, and they pulled into town, and the bike ran out of fuel as they were basically coming in the driveway, going up the driveway. And they had
Nice.
16 cents between the 2 of them. it was an adventure. I mean, shit, you could say you did
Yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah.
2 summers ago, I rode 4,600 miles in 3 weeks. You know, I rode from Nebraska to Washington to British Columbia to Alberta, back through Montana, Idaho, back to Washington, and then back to Nebraska. You know, I mean, I decided that that was something I wanted to do. I wanted to try it on a bike, and I did it. I never rode my bike this year though. I'd never even swung a leg over it this year. It's sitting in the garage. So I know the battery's dead. I put fuel stabilizer in it, so the fuel should be good. If not, I'll have to drain all the fuel out. But yeah, my tires were pretty much shot. So I didn't ride. I didn't even license it. I'll have to get it out this spring and ride it some more. But yeah, it you know, it was just something I wanted to do. It was kind of on a bucket list deal. Like, hey, you know, drive halfway across the country on a motorcycle, experience that, and I did it. So, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was still married.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have been able to afford it. I wouldn't have had the bike, most likely. Although while I was married, I always had a motorcycle. While I was married, I still always had at least one motorcycle. So I guess I could have done it, but then I'd have got bitched at. Well, you didn't take us, and blah blah blah. Yes, Arvero. That was when I visited Dak and Chris Mitchell. In fact, the ride from Dak's place back to my grandma's, where I was staying, that was 13 and a half hours, and it was 625 miles, I think, that day, and it was 100 degrees out. Oh, that was the most miserable day of riding I ever had in my life. That was hot. It was 100 degrees out, and I put 13 and a half hours sitting on the seat. Didn't help that I got lost twice. I got lost in Edmonton, and I got lost in Calgary. Finally, I didn't have a GPS, and my cell phone didn't work in Canada. They said it would work in Canada. I've got nationwide coverage in Canada and Mexico. As soon as I crossed the Canadian border into British Columbia to go see Chris Mitchell, my phone quit. I could text, and that's all I could do. No internet, no GPS. Luckily, I had a road map of British Columbia and Alberta that I bought at a bookstore, and I had an atlas with me. So I would stop for fuel. I'd break out the atlas or the map, and I would do it old school. I blame Trudeau, Arvero. It was all Trudeau's fault. And there were some major fires up there in British Columbia and Alberta. So
Yeah, that was the year the Stunning and Brave ladies fucking did the thing and set Canada on fire.
oh fuck, dude, that was 2 summers ago. It was so freaking smoky up there.
How
So
smoky was it?
well, it was just smoky. When you got a helmet on and you're out in the air, it sucked. Because your eyes were always burning, your nose was always stuffed up, blowing stalactite boogers out all the time.
Yeah. I'm surprised I haven't heard from Billy. I put that post out earlier, and he got a personal fucking link to it.
Well, he might yeah, he's probably off work now, but
Yeah.
when you send it to him, I'm sure he was probably at work.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
I
it'd
better get
be
going. I've got to. It's
yeah,
going to be dark here in about 20 minutes, and I've got to go to the store, and I've got to play with this dog, or she is not going to let me forget.
yeah. She
She's
remember.
looking at me and twisting her head because she knows I said dog. Yes. She's
All
ready
right,
to
Abe.
play.
Have
All
a good
right.
one.
We will talk to you later. If you want to call me later, uh, you can. I'll be around till 8 o'clock my time.
All righty, brother. Bye bye.
All right. Later.
And just like that, bam, we're out of Wichita. looks like the rest areas are starting to fill up. I better go and park. Got one here coming up in about 5 miles. Pretty big. There we go. Now I got a clear path to the shitter. Sammy, we are done for the day. Well, folks, you guys have a good day or good night. I'm going to fucking call it a day. No marriage, no cohabitation, no new children. If Hemi had blessed us with his presence, he'd tell you, don't bring your fucking girlfriends around here. Yeah. Be good to each other. MGTOWs for normal men, and find a purpose in life, because if you don't, you'll find one in women. I know some of my friends think that's a lecture, but it's not. It's just friendly advice. So peace out, brothers. And I will catch you on the road again tomorrow.